So Matt Hardy is back on TNA television. He came back at Rebellion, I think TNA Rebellion, and yeah, as one YouTube commenter said, he's back right where he belongs in TNA. I guess he was a free agent after he couldn't come to terms with AEW where he was. Probably because they weren't putting him on TV for shit because he sucks. Because he's done. He sucks at this point. You know, obviously he was cool, like in the Attitude Era when he was going up against the Dudleys and Edge and Christian. But now they're just washed up, and it's time to do the smart thing and hang up the boots. But anyways, so I guess Moose was in the ring, and then all of a sudden the Titantron started going all freaky, and all the lights cut out, and then Matt with his broken Matt Hardy gimmick rolled up behind Moose, and then gave him the twist of fate, and then held up the title. And that's how it ended. I guess there were some other returns at that pay-per-view, but does it really matter unless they're going to be some sort of a what is it? A league for reclamation project. So they've got NXT where they build up, all the young prospect talent, and then they can use TNA as like a place for reclamation projects. That if they do well and they don't get themselves in any trouble, then they can, show up on NXT television or one of the other shows, Raw or SmackDown, depending on, how the TNA run goes. But yeah, I mean, you see, it was weird because I don't know if he had a 90-day no compete or what, but when I seen, like, I thought this motherfucker was still with AEW, and he starts commenting on the WrestleMania XL matches and stuff like that on his YouTube podcast. He starts talking about the events and stuff like that, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why is this guy talking about, like, why is this guy giving reviews about the rival company's pay-per-view? Like, why the fuck would you do that? That would be like me working for ESPN, and then all of a sudden I just start talking about all the great programming at Fox Sports 1. Oh, Fox Sports, they have such great programming. Fuck ESPN. You don't want to watch that, even though I work for them. What the fuck? I was like, why is this guy trying to give reviews about the rival company? Why are you talking about what the rival company is doing on your fucking YouTube podcast when you're supposed to be under contract and employed by the rival company? I don't understand. I didn't get it. But he'd be like appearing at their shows and stuff like that, like, taking selfies and pictures with fans. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, we get it. He's like, he reminds me of about, like, trying to get, was Matt Hardy like peddling himself, trying to get a job with WWE or a contract, showing up at events, talking about, WrestleMania or whatever on his podcast, taking pictures of everybody at WWE, house shows or like live tapings. Like, what the fuck? Is he trying to pimp himself out so he can get back working for WWE? We'll see. I mean, he could be one of those reclamation projects in TNA, and if Hunter likes what he sees, he might bring him back in for you know a victory lap tour, I guess, or just a proper ceremonial, like, final match, and then that's it. Show's over. But I think he should just, if anything, be a manager. And what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen to Nero Jeff Hardy now? Is he still under contract with AEW? And if so, how's that going to work? Is he just going to jump ship and do everything that Matt does all the time? Because I guess, I don't know, Matt seems to be the sober, slightly more competent one, I guess. So all Jeff has to do is follow the money. So yeah, I don't know. Like good for him, like that YouTube commenter said. You know, Matt Hardy is right back where he belongs in TNA. So unless he decides to become a manager, I mean, I for one don't really care to see him on TV again. You know, let's make way for the new generation. It should be like in other sports. Like I know, you know, the psychology of pro wrestling takes a little bit longer for people to understand. Usually, like the peak of pro wrestling, it's not like other like forms of sport, entertainment, crossover type of deal. You know, usually like these guys aren't peaking until about what, anywhere from 40 to 45 years old. That's when they're peaking in terms of like the physical shape and understanding psychology of wrestling and how to perform in the ring. So there are some guys that take to it, and girls that take to it right away, but the majority of pro wrestlers are late bloomers and get into it in the latter stages of their career, because it takes time. Look at all the people that have come up from the first iterations of Triple H's NXT and how they're killing it now. But it's been 10, 12 years for a lot of those guys. And they can all have decent runs, but that for the majority of the time it takes them well into their 40s. So, but yeah, and that's fine and all, but you get to a certain point, like when you're in your 50s, like the body just does not want to do it anymore. Does not want to do it anymore. And when you've when you've done some of the matches that him and Jeff Hardy have done, like, no, you need to understand. Like Booker T says, you have a bump card. You can only take so many bumps, and once that last bump is punched on the card, that's it. It's time to hang him up. And so yeah, I, I just couldn't understand it. But now we see. I don't know if he was trying to be like to call him Vince Russo. That's it, Russo. Yeah. So like that's what I was trying to say earlier. That Matt Hardy was trying to pimp himself out like Russo. Like, oh, I want a job. Give me a job. No, nobody's gonna give you a fucking job, especially WWE, because you're a fucking goof. Matt Hardy back in TNA. We'll see how that run goes.